according to my clock, we're 20 minutes late starting the show, and I blame Kim Rashad because he came on here eating food, drinking soda pop, just talking, wasting up time, and one thing led to another. We started the show at 2:20 instead of 2
Look, man, when you start these shows during my lunchtime, we got a problem.
Look, man.
I was eating my chicken sandwich with cheese.
From where? Popeyes?
Homemade.
Hey, man.
Mrs. Rashad. And you're going to sit up here and schedule a live show.
I scheduled a live show 24 hours
during my
ago.
Lunch break.
You're supposed to know. People take lunch breaks at noon or 1 o'clock. Nobody takes lunch break at 2 o'clock, man.
Well, it is 1 o'clock his time.
Yeah.
You're still supposed to be on time, though. No matter what time it is.
I will say this: homemade chicken sandwiches do hit, especially since I found this copycat Chick-fil-A recipe. I never go to Chick-fil-A anymore. I just make my own chicken sandwiches at home. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Now, if I was 20 minutes late, you'd be calling and texting. He's eating potato chips into the microphone.
And I got
I'm
some
professional.
Chips.
Yeah, there's no ASMR channel. What are we doing?
Exactly what he's doing. AMSR eating with Ken Rashad.
Yeah.
Hey, people actually tune into those types of videos. Maybe that could be a new form of content for us. Who knows?
I know. Like I've been watching those videos about like these influencers going around the world getting like massages and haircuts and stuff. It's very fascinating. You get paid for that.
Yeah.
How are you gentlemen doing?
Hey, y'all already you could read what's under my name. I'm excited for June, buddy.
Oh, by the way, Chris, real quick, hey man, the Shalimar episode.
You, appreciate you. If you don't know what Ken is talking about, by the way, real quick, if I can plug myself, if I may, I just
mentioned it.
I have a music podcast on YouTube called On the Groove Line, and it's where I talk about all manners of music from the past and the present. If you guys are so interested in subscribing, I will gladly type it in. I will type this in for y'all right now.
Jody Watley don't want nothing to do with them folks at Shalimar no more, huh?
Dog, she hates Howard Hewitt with the heat of 1,000 suns, bro.
He didn't apologize to her. He done got on his knees and said, "Baby, please." And
she wants nothing to do with him or Jeffrey Daniel. So I mean, it's like this. The version of Shalimar knows they ain't never getting back together. sorry, y'all.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, before we start the show, Ken, you got to do the whole thing. We can like say who we're sponsored by.
This episode of the HBCU Sports Roundtable Edition is brought to you by the HBCU Sports Awards, the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, scheduled July 26th. And there may be some surprises. So, July 26th, tune in July 26th. That's July 26th.
And what time?
July 26th. Time to be determined.
Sometime on July 26th.
Sometime during July 26th, we will live stream the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, okay, where we will honor and recognize the very best in Black HBCU, Black college excellence, student athletes, coaches, administrators, and then recognize the coveted HBCU Athletic Program of the Year. That's the second annual HBCU Sports Awards coming July 26th. Time will be disclosed at a later time, but it's coming July 26th. All right.
That's a really great lead into our first topic, Ken Rashad. We're going to talk about conferences acknowledging their own great athletes and their great teams. The SWAC had the Commissioners Cup. The MEAC had their postseason awards dinner. And Alabama State, for the ninth time in the last 12 years, won the SWAC Commissioners Cup. And Howard and Norfolk State, they led the way in the MEAC. Starting with the SWAC first. Alabama State, they got the most points for the Commissioners Cup Award. They've won it 3 years in a row now. Jackson State was second, Southern was third, Florida A&M and Southern tied for fourth. Prairie View was 6th. Alabama A&M was 7th. Bethune-Cookman 8th. Arkansas Pine Bluff 9th. Grambling State 10th. Alcorn State 11th. And the Delta Devils brought up the rear at 12th. And here's how they scored everything. I don't know why one sport carries more weight than the other one, but if you see the column with Alabama State in next to Alabama A&M, you see they really, did their best work in track and field, and football. They got points for that. Despite the fact that United States men's team came away with was awarded the best men's team in the SWAC this season for all sports. But yeah, there you have it. So Cameron, so I know it's better than I do. What do you make of Alabama State winning the Commissioners Cup for the 3rd year in a row in the nighttime in the last 12 years? Are they really the standard in SWAC athletics right now?
Well, boy, that's a loaded question. That's a great question, Kendrick. I put it like this. I don't know if they're the standard, but I don't think anyone is really surprised by the results, considering what's being considered when these scores are tabulated. Alabama State, Prairie View, and I guess even to some degree Southern will likely always be the teams, and I guess maybe to a smaller portion Jackson State, but I would just simply say this. When you've got men's and women's tennis teams and a men's and women's golf teams, then chances are you're going to score when you got majority of the schools that don't have both men and women's golf teams and men and women's tennis teams, if they've got those programs at all. So if you don't have men and women's golf, or if you don't have tennis or whatever the case may be, then, you're going to always be kind of like either middle of the pack or at the bottom. But this is a no-brainer. Alabama State, Jackson State, and Southern. This is kind of par for the course. FAMU. I mean, look, I think Alabama State consistently is. I think we've disclosed. I think they have like the largest athletic budget of all HBCUs, just about that I'm aware of. And this isn't a surprise. I mean, Alabama State is flexing now because they've got women's flag football. They had a flag football schedule that they just completed. So this isn't anything new. So for those who may be upset or crying about how and I know there is one school in particular who wants to know, why is it that we're constantly at the bottom? Why are we 10th? And they look at it as being a problem with athletics when there is no problem. It's just that you don't have enough athletics. So
just say Grambling State University, Ken. Just say it. Say Grambling State University is at 10.
Grambling State University is at 10.
There you go.
How's that? And we don't have all of those. We don't have a women's flag football. Hell, we barely got men's football, but that's beside the point. But
remember, basketball school, Ken.
We are a basketball school. So anyway, so that's how this all comes about. Alabama State, Jackson State, and Southern being 1, 2, and 3. That's not a surprise at all. It's all about the number of programs that they have and that they are, that they're fielding.
Yeah, going back to like the points and how they're weighted, like I don't understand like why one sport has more points than the other sport. I'm not complaining about who won or didn't win, but I'm just saying like why is it that way with the point system?
Now that I don't know. Now if you I was at on the forums, on the HBCU sports forums, someone brought up a great point. Wanting to know that it probably a good idea. And SWAC, I think this is a very, this was an honest recommendation, and I think it's something that you might want to consider. So, Andrew Roberts, Charles McClellan, it may not be a bad idea to maybe explain the point system, because someone, and I'm not trying to compare us to any other conference, but someone put up a link to the Southland Conference, in which the Southland Conference broke down exactly how the points were determined for each sport. So I think that would be something that could be helpful going forward. Because remember, you guys know what my motto is: the best kind of fan is an educated fan. You educate us on how to get these points. It might provide some incentive for some coaches. Hey, we got to win these things and we get some points to get the commissioner. I'm just saying. But anyway, that may not be a bad idea. Give us a breakdown on how the points are determined. Obviously, championships, regular season championships, conference tournaments. I don't know. We have no idea how that works. So explaining the point system and how the points are awarded whenever you show the standings would go a long ways in helping all of us understand how these points are awarded.
Yeah, here. Shifting to the MEAC, they had a similar award ceremony this week where Norfolk State and Howard, they won the men's and women's award. Howard won the award for women's all sports, and Norfolk State won the award for all men's sports. And Chris Stevens, you follow the MEAC closely. Did they get it right this year?
You won't find any argument from me because Howard's women's sports were good. I mean, the crazy part is they only won one MEAC official tournament. I mean, they won the softball tournament, but they were very good in basketball. They were the volleyball regular season champs, but they lost to what's the name of that school in Dover? They wear red and blue. Oh yeah, Delaware State University. That's right. But Howard, I mean, it's par for the course. That's a school where Black women have gone to thrive for years, and athletics is just starting to, catch up in the 21st century. But I'm not surprised that, and the crazy part about it is, this is just a MEAC-based award, but if you count what Howard has been able to do in the Northeast Conference, they won this women's soccer championship. They won, they finished second in golf. I mean, the men's golf team won the NEC. Howard has a top flight athletic program. Same for Norfolk State. Norfolk State won the men's award basically because, well, their cross country and track and field programs have just been, dominant over the last 5 to 10 years or so. And then of course, winning a share of the regular season championship and the tournament in men's basketball, definitely helped their case. So obviously you got to go with the points. You got to go with how it all adds up. But it does feel like Howard and Norfolk State are the conference's two top athletic programs at the moment. And there's really no true bottom, to be fair, because when you think about, there's two schools that don't have football. Well, there's a third if you consider what Delaware State's done the last couple of years. But yeah, technically there are two schools that don't have football. So you gotta weigh that. It's like Ken said, some schools have more athletic programs than others, and you just gotta, ride it out. And I feel like that Norfolk State and Howard right now are the MEAC's best representatives of that conference.
So Jared, you live in the same region as the MEAC. Do you think Chris is right that both Howard and Norfolk State are the two best, overall athletic departments in that conference?
I mean, just look at the list of champions. It's more than likely you're going to see Norfolk State or you're going to see Howard. Norfolk State won the women's basketball championship, won men's basketball championship. They won I believe it was the men's outdoor track and field championship. The cross country, it was Norfolk State. So you just look at the championships list. I don't know what else to say. That's the standard of what that's the standard of which we uphold the best is championships. You have that, you're the best. So that's Norfolk State to me. That's Howard to me. That's what they have, the rings to prove it. So I don't know what other measure there is,
But like, how hard is it to do when you only have like 8 schools in total and like 6 for like football?
Look, man, competition is competition.
There you go.
It don't matter how many, because you could have a bunch of other schools and the other schools ain't good. So would you rather have 8 schools and they all are competitive, or you have 12 schools and there's like 6 that they're just space fillers? So
like Grambling State and number 10 in the SWAC, space filler.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't try to lob you up for that.
No, man, we're talking about the MEAC right now. Kendrick is not going to goat me into this. I will tell you something else that I think is rather MEAC-ish of the MEAC. And that's the fact that the winner, they get money. They cutting checks in the MEAC. I think that is just so highbrow of the MEAC.
I mean,
We may not have as many teams, but you know what? We're going to give the winner a $10,000 check. Good Lord.
what's wrong with like that, Ken? Like they're all student athletes after all.
I'm not complaining. I'm just simply saying I don't
Yeah,
know.
Morgan State got $10,000 because they had the MEAC's highest APR.
Yeah, like I said, so MEAC-ish. So MEAC-ish. That's not an insult. That's just the MEAC. That's MEAC might, right?
Highbrow to care about academics. I don't get that.
Okay, now you want to see.
I don't understand you coming from, man.
All right.
It's highbrow for a college conference to care about, college student athletes. Come on, Kim Rashad, you better than that, man.
You know,
but maybe not. You're not better. Maybe you're not better than that. I don't know.
All right.
Stop. I don't know if you're better than that.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do think it's really good that the MEAC will acknowledge like the academic achievements of their sports teams, because we always talk about these kids don't care about class, only care about money and social activities, and don't really care about anything other than their sport. But it gives incentives for them to achieve too. $10,000, yeah. I mean, like that's something to strive for.
No complaint here, Kendrick.
Oh, thank God, no complaints.
No complaint here. I'm not gonna let you twist my words. It's still highbrow though.
Anyway, next topic. The Orange Blossom Classic is going to have a new game day instead of being traditionally played on Sunday, as it has been the last several years. It's going to be played on Saturday at 4 Eastern on a new ESPN tier that's going to be on ESPNU between the Howard and Florida A&M. As you guys know, this is the return of Florida A&M after a 1-year hiatus. They're going to have a rematch with Howard from the Celebration Bowl a few years ago, but should be an exciting football game. 2 really good football programs, especially Howard up-and-coming football program. And Kendra Bullock Major, who is the executive director of the Orange Blossom Classic, explained why the day and time change. She told SBCU Legends that we're still on linear TV and we've got an hour later kickoff. We're happy with it. The viewership is still good. I think the main thing is to have us in a good time slot where we're not competing against too many future matchups. And she explains how like the game being on is a good lead in to the Clemson LSU game that's going to be on later on that night. I believe like on ABC or something like that. So what do we think about the Orange Blossom Classic changing days and times? I know attendance for last year's game was a little over 10,000 fans. Had to deal with the weather and a kind of a late start. But the viewership numbers were really good. Over 600,000 people watched on ESPN 2 before they had to switch over because of the delay to ESPNU. Starting with Chris Stevens.
Well, you're gonna have something that going for you that you didn't have last year, and that's the return of the Rattlers. I mean, the Orange Blossom Classic every year from 1933 to 1978, and then when they restarted it until last year, had Florida A&M in it. So I mean, it's obvious that this is their second classic, if you will, and getting Howard to come in, that's key, because Howard alumni are everywhere. There's Howard alumni in the Philadelphia area. There's Howard alumni, of course, in the DMV. There's Howard alumni on the West Coast. There's Howard alumni in Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Cincinnati. There's Howard alumni in Atlanta, Tallahassee, Miami, all over the Gulf Coast. So you've got people that can make that trip, and I think putting it on a Saturday helps, because it gives people something to do in the first half of Labor Day weekend. Because if you're banking on people to do something the second half of Labor Day weekend, when you've already had your day parties where everybody's wearing white and sipping mimosas and all of that, then you're really asking for trouble. But if you get them into a football game that should be competitive, and then of course they can still have Sunday to do whatever they want, and then use their Monday as a travel day back home, then Executive Director Bullock Major is correct that you have a tie-in to get people in the stands, to get people to watch on television, and you just hope the game is good, because I mean, people are gonna, tune in and say, "Oh wow, this should hold me over until time for LSU Clemson." But if one team is up by 35 points, then it's not gonna hold them over. So you got to hope for a good game. But I think the OBC has done a great job in bringing Florida A&M back and setting this up to a point to where it can be successful.
Yeah, Kim, your thoughts on this? Does Howard being in the game alongside Florida A&M make it a more attractive game for folks?
Nope.
It doesn't. Why not?
No. But, and I was just to say, let me explain that. I don't think it matters who the opposing team is. As long as FAMU is playing, that's all that matters. This could be FAMU versus Virginia Lynchburg, and it was still okay. Maybe that's a stretch, okay, but it could be it could be FAMU versus anybody, and I think this game would do okay. But or okay, let me say this: FAMU versus another Division I HBCU. You do that, it's good. I'm not saying that matchups don't matter, but you can't have the Orange Blossom Classic and not have FAMU be a part of it. Okay, this is literally FAMU versus the world. This is the state of Florida versus everyone else, and so that's the first thing. Secondly, it's a good thing that it's on Saturday. As far as I'm concerned, college football, even on Labor Day, college football is supposed to be played on a Saturday.
Yes.
And so here is what just from my personal experience, because we know that there's always, especially that first week, there's that trickle over effect. There are going to probably be some other games that are going to be played on Sunday. And to be quite honest with you, unless they're like marquee matchups that are going to be played during prime time, I tend to forget about those games. I'm not really focused on it. There have even been times when, just because you've been so busy with the games that I've done on Saturday, I remember a couple times like, damn it, that's right. J State and FAMU are playing. And I literally forget, because I'm thinking that the entire slate of games are done for the Saturday. So I think it's a good thing that this game has been moved to Saturday, because now folks can look at the entire college football slate and they can look at those games that they want to watch. I think there's something to be said for the fact that this game is going to be the lead into LSU and Clemson. It's good all the way around. I do want to mention, G-Boom mentioned that it's going to be hot and it should have been a night game. Well, look, this is with TV. But to the credit of whoever designed that stadium, it is designed with shade. So, the key is not to be in the sun. I understand that they're, depending on where you are. But look, man, there are a number of games that are going to probably be played. And I've said this a lot about my school, because I remember I pitched a fit one time, man. I went to a Grambling football game during the day in September. And I said, and that had like a 2 or 3 o'clock. And I told them, I said, and I made this very clear, there is no way that any college football program, especially in the South, should ever play a game in the afternoon in September. Never. It shouldn't. I understand TV is a big part of that. But if you're all about safety for the players and safety for those who come in, who attend the games, you should never play a game at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the deep South in September. You need to start that bad boy around 6 or 7. But starting that game 2, 3 o'clock and 90-something degree heat, could be even triple-digit temperatures. That's just not good. So in the case of this game with Miami, and being in Miami, and that stadium being kind of like built in a way to where there is at least some shade, it's still open air, I think that'll help. But I understand these TV games being TV games, and TV kind of like, that TV money being kind of like that factor. They kind of have some say so as to when that game's going to be played. So I don't know if there's really a whole lot she could have done about it being played during the night. And if we know ESPN and ABC and primetime being what it is, those slots are going to be reserved for the Power 4 schools anyway. So I think this is about as good as it could have gotten.
Yeah, Jared, how encouraging is it that Kendra Bullock said that ticket sales for this year's game are higher than they were in previous years? And she said that's a sign that both fan bases are engaged and enthusiastic about the game when it's played.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, having went to the Celebration Bowl when Florida A&M played Howard, both fan bases, like when we were flying, me and my father, who was a Florida A&M grad, we both went down to the game, and at the airport in DC, it was flooded with blue and red, flooded with blue and red, and he was one of maybe like 4 Florida A&M grads that was there. And then we're flying back. We got a bunch of Florida A&M and Howard grads on the plane with us. So that just shows you that we're willing to support. But as I've been educated before, it's important to have that game viewership, to have that broadcast partner, because that's what brings the money in. Not just the ticket sales, but having those fans tune into the game. So it's important that we all tune into the game if we're not able to be there in person. Even if you just have it on the background on mute, just have it on so that we can continue to benefit from these media partners. So I mean, but after what Ken just said, now it just whet my appetite to see Florida A&M play Virginia University Lynchburg. I really want to see the Virginia University Lynchburg fan base.
Nobody's want to see that. All 7 people are going to show up to that game.
Man, it really made me want to see it. Like, I really want to see that Virginia University Lynchburg fan base. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, I think it's encouraging that ticket sales are up. I think it'll be even more encouraging if we can get 700,000 viewing live, and hopefully it's a competitive game and it whets people's appetite to see more HBCU football. So I think this is very encouraging, and I hope that it works out for the best.
I think though that it not being on ESPN or ESPN2 could hurt it a little bit, because not everybody has ESPNU as part of their cable package or streaming package, depending on what they have. And ESPNU gets like the lesser viewers, obviously, than ESPN2 does. So I'm interested to see like how the ratings play out, since the game is going to be exclusively on ESPNU and not as a result of a delay in the game or something like that. But I'm hoping it doesn't hurt.
I think and I understand your point, Kendrick, but there's a part of me that kind of thinks that's a non-factor, because I think nobody is more aware of that than ESPN, and I'm sure they have some expectations, realistic expectations as to what that game, given that it's on ESPNU, what it could potentially draw, here, or we hope it draws at least this, versus this would be great, this would be better, and so forth. I don't think anyone, especially them, would have any phony expectations as to what type of numbers. It's not distributed on all of the these cable companies like ESPN or even ESPN2 or even ABC. But I don't think they have any false or phony expectations as to what this game could draw, given what the distribution given what the distribution is like. Now, to that point, I would also say this: how that game draws, and I want to be careful in saying this. To be honest with you, that's not FAMU's concern. It's not Howard's concern. And to a certain degree, I guess the only person who can really be concerned about it is maybe the Orange Blossom Classic, that it draws enough to where ESPN wants to continue to broadcast it. But without question, that's not a concern that Howard nor either FAMU really needs to be bothered by. They're getting paid just to show up.
That's true, but like a part of the sale for that game is the exposure both schools get for being a part of it.
Right. They leverage that. They leverage it. Yeah. I'm not saying that they wouldn't benefit from it, but I'm saying that the financial element to that is just pay us what we said you said you were gonna pay us, and we'll play. And we'll give you our very best. That's all they can do. That's all they can ask for.
Yeah, no pushback on that, but ESPNU, and I kind of wrote this a couple of years ago about like how, especially for like Thursday night games on ESPNU, both of them being Black College football games, they didn't do very well ratings wise at all. Like even games that were not on ESPNU, that were like on NBC or ESPN2 or NFL Network. Those games did much better than any games that were on ESPNU.
But again, can you really? But you can't compare. You just made the point about the distribution. You said NFL Network, ESPN, ESPN2, and who else?
NBC.
NBC. Those are all prime channels.
I know. But my thing is the concern over like they're going to be on a lesser tier channel though, because it's not really available to everybody, and most people ain't checking for an ESPNU game on a Saturday right at the start of college football season because there are other competitions going around. But
I will simply say this: the game is going to appeal to who it appeals to. I can't sit up here and tell you if I find out that ESPN, like following that game, ESPN2 is going to broadcast Stephen F. Austin versus New Mexico State. You think I'm going to jump up and down to go out of my way to watch Stephen F. Austin and or Tarleton State or whatever they play? Look, man, it's going to appeal to some and it's not going to appeal to others. It's part of the process. Everybody's not going to, hopefully those in the HBCU space will find this game to be of interest enough to want to watch it. Plain and simple. But it's not going to appeal to everyone. Go ahead, Jared.
As the Division II guy, I also think it's important to point out that the Orange Blossom Classic used to be the lead-in to the Red Tails Classic and the Black College Hall of Fame Classic.
There you go.
And those games are still being played on Sunday. So I hope that the viewership for the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic should benefit from it, because the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic used to start an hour after the Orange Blossom Classic kicked off. So now that'll be their sole time slot. But I hope that the Orange Blossom Classic being moved to Saturday doesn't hurt their viewership, because those games are very important, and it's two great teams playing in each game. So just want to plug both of those games. The Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic is going to be played between Miles and Virginia State or Virginia Union, one of those two. And
not Virginia Lynchburg.
No, not Virginia Lynchburg. And the Red Tails Classic, of course, is between Tuskegee and Fort Valley State. That'll be Sunday, 7 p.m. for the Red Tails Classic. That's going to be on ESPNU. And of course, the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic will be 4 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. So please watch both of those games in addition to the Orange Blossom Classic, which is going to be on Saturday. Please support if you support Black college athletics, support it at all levels. I understand the SWAC is our biggest, the bulk of our fan base, but CIAA, SIAC, you will not be disappointed by the competition at that level either. So please do yourself a favor and do our institutions a favor and support us as best as you can, please.
We'll definitely all be watching. Can be watching Tarleton State play. They really are. Our next topic will delve into Division II. The CIAA made a statement by saying, Charlotte, the Queen City, we're not going to bring our basketball tournament to your fair city. It's going to stay in Baltimore, where people have fun watching the Richard and the CIAA tournament at the same time.
Maryland.
Yeah, that's back in Maryland. Yes, the term's going to stay in Maryland through 2029. Charlotte was the only other city besides Baltimore to make a bid on the tournament. They thought they had a strong proposal, but apparently the proposal was not strong enough. This is from the Charlotte Business Journal. They reported this week, they broke the news. According to two sources with knowledge of the bid, Charlotte's proposal covering 2028 through 2030 because of a conflict in 2027, offered use of the Spectrum Center, which is the home of the Charlotte Hornets, uptown for 2 of the 3 bid years, but would have moved the CIAA tournament to Bojangles Coliseum for the middle year. Conference executives previously made clear to Charlotte tourism and political leaders throughout the lead up to the bid proposal that the CIAA did not want to play outside of Uptown. In Charlotte, Uptown is really downtown. They just call it Uptown for some reason. Don't know why that is. And continuing on, So Charlotte City Council members Malcolm Graham and James Mitchell were key figures in the bid led by the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. Despite praising the bid's assembly, both councilmen described the proposal to use Bojangles Coliseum in 2029 as dead on arrival, meaning there was no way the CIAA would agree to that. Underscoring the CIAA's insistence on hosting all games at the Uptown Spectrum Center, again, home of the Charlotte Hornets. And then the Charlotte mayor came with a statement. Mayor Val Lyles attributed the failed bid to scheduling conflicts at key venues, not individual shortcomings. So she said that it wasn't the city's fault this happened. Unfortunately, Charlotte was unable to accommodate the 2027 bid due to fully programmed commitments in key uptown venues. This outcome is not the fault of any individual. It simply came down to scheduling conflicts. So after reading all that, I'm very, very tired. So fellas, what do we make of the CIAA's decision to keep the tournament where it is now in Charm City? Starting with Jared Hoffman.
Well, first of all, shout out Jamie in the chat. It is the Red Tails Classic is actually Tuskegee and Winston-Salem State. So that's actually the matchup in the Black College Hall of Fame Classic is Virginia Union and Mouse. Just wanted to make that clear. As far as the CIAA tournament staying in Maryland and Baltimore, I hate to be biased as a Maryland guy. I love it. I love that it's staying here. Like I said this on my show, the Better Than Less Than podcast, streaming every Thursday. Please tune in. That Baltimore really invests in the CIAA tournament. The CIAA knows that this is their cash cow. This is how they make their money. And if any city wants to take over this, you have to get the investment from the city. And Baltimore has invested it in a way that I can't say this factually. I just go by what people have said, that it invested in the CIAA tournament. Baltimore did in a way that Charlotte never did. And then you hear about stuff like how they treated the ACC tournament and how hotel prices spiked up to $260, and the CIAA tournament wanted it to be within $90 and $225. So, and I get it. The demand for the ACC tournament probably mandated that they increase the hotel prices, but they can easily go back on their word and say, "Oh, we'll agree to these hotel prices," and then say, "Like, we'll charge $250," because the demand for the CIAA tournament is that high. It's that high, especially since the majority of our institutions are in North Carolina. They would be well within their right to spike the hotel prices in that way, So, in addition to the hotel prices and the venue not agreeing on the venue that it needed to be in use, it seemed like, and I said this also on my show yesterday, is that it seemed like this was a last minute thing for Charlotte. They didn't really put their best foot forward in this bid proposal. And I don't think this will be the last we hear of Charlotte trying to get in the CIAA tournament sweepstakes. I don't think it will be at all. And I think that they will be, of course, they're going to be looking for other tournaments. I said that the MEAC could possibly be good for them. I don't know for sure. I don't know factually why I believe that would be. I just think that in terms of proximity and travel for the member institutions in the MEAC, I think that would work very well for them. But who am I to say? I think that would be a better question for Chris. But I just don't think that they put their best foot forward in this proposal. And I'm just glad it's staying in Baltimore, because Baltimore has treated the CIAA tournament with the respect it is deserved. The city and the people within the city have treated it with the respect that it deserves. And I look forward to seeing how it improves in the coming years.
So, Jared, what do you think Baltimore is doing a little bit different than Charlotte may have did in the past to make it more attractive for the conference to say we want to stay here?
I can't really speak to what Baltimore has done to see you try to sneak that in there. I can't really speak to what Charlotte didn't do that Baltimore did do, because I didn't really get to experience Charlotte's treatment of the CIAA tournament because the one time I went, I was working. So, but what I can say is that the community is involved in Baltimore. That's what I can only speak to what I see from Baltimore. And what I see from Baltimore is that the community is involved. Businesses are involved. Community leadership is involved. And that's what makes it, the schools in Baltimore are involved. And that's what I just think that the community involvement, that's what makes it so great. That's what makes it so great. You can't walk, you go to the BWI, the Baltimore Airport, you see CIAA banners. You drive through the city of Baltimore, you see banners with all the school logos on. You can't drive through anywhere near where the Royal Farms Arena, I don't know what the arena is called now. I call it Royal Farms Arena. But you drive through that area where the arena is, you can't drive down any street without seeing a CIAA banner. They really invest in promoting the CIAA tournament. And I can't speak to Charlotte's promotion of it, but from what I've heard from other people, Charlotte didn't invest in it the way that they should have. And they probably took it for granted. I can't say that factually. That's not me saying that factually. This is other people's accounts. But what I do know is Baltimore has treated it exponentially better than what I've heard people say that Charlotte did.
Yeah, Chris, your thoughts?
Well, Charlotte messed around and found out. That's basically what it boils down to. I mean, like Jared said, this seemed really last minute, or as my grandmother would say, a day late and a dollar short. You know, just trying to put all of the, because as it was stated by those city councilmen, not having use of the Spectrum Center, if only for a year, was a non-starter. So why even submit a bid if you know that you're not going to have the Spectrum Center at your disposal to draw the CIAA in? And it just seems like the vibes were better in Baltimore for the CIAA. And Jared calls it Royal Farms. I'm old enough to remember when it was the Baltimore Civic Arena, back when the Bullets used to play like 3 or 4 games there a year, and the Sixers would always be in that rotation, and I would see that on TV. So that just tells you how old I am. But yeah, they've done wonders. Governor Wes Moore, Mayor Brandon. I keep wanting to say his last name is Robinson for some reason. I'm probably because I'm getting mixed up with Chicago's mayor. But yeah, Mayor Brandon Scott.
They almost called him Byron yesterday. So
Byron Scott. Yeah, but yeah, Mayor Brandon Scott and Governor Wes Moore have done a tremendous job in welcoming the CIAA with open arms, and it just feels like the vibes are better in Baltimore for the CIAA right now. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right now, Baltimore and CIAA are a match made in heaven, and I don't see any reason why they would go away from it.
And just to point out something that Chris mentioned is something that I forgot to mention. The contract in Baltimore is up in 2026. The original bid was for 2027 to 2029. This is why I say it felt like it was a last minute thing for Charlotte. Why submit a bid if you know that 2027 you're booked up and then try to change it to 2028 to 2030? That doesn't make sense to me. That just lets you know that they were just trying to throw something at the wall and hope that it sticks. So it just didn't make any sense to me. And I hope that they come back with a better proposal and that they are more prepared than they were this time around. Because I have no doubt that it was probably a great experience for some in Charlotte, but they have to actually show that they care about this tournament and that they are willing to put the work in to promote it. You did it with the ACC tournament. You see how important it is to promote the ACC tournament. Understand that this is just as important of a tournament.
I mean, well, the CIAA don't have Duke and North Carolina and Wake Forest in this conference.
But what we do have is vibes. Vibes are on lock at the CIAA tournament.
Why is there a vision in my head that wants to believe that Commissioner Jackie McWilliams Parker looked at that proposal from the city of Charlotte. She looked at it. She glanced over it. She read it and she said, "Boy, bye." Honey, please. Really? We just gonna keep it. I don't know, man. It just, now I will say this, and I'm not trying to be conspiratorial by any means, but there is a part of me that really wants to believe that if Charlotte really wanted this, if they really wanted to host it, they would have made a better effort to do it. There's a part of me that thinks they really didn't care about having it. There really is a part of me that thinks one way or the other, they really didn't care, because depending on who you talk to, it's the things outside of the tournament itself that they probably didn't necessarily want to deal with.
Yeah.
And and I'm not saying that that's a thing. I'm not necessarily trying to say anything that's just based upon what I've read up to this point, based upon what I've learned from Jared up to this point. If Charlotte really wanted to, if they really wanted this, they probably could have done a better job than what they did. But I just don't really think they really had an appetite. I think they did it just to kind of go through the motions. I think they did it because the CIAA is headquartered in Charlotte, right?
Yeah, it is.
And I just think that they said, you know what, we'll just go through the motions just to say we can say it. And they probably issued that statement. I don't know this to be the fact that true or not, but I guess there's a part of me that just thinks that if Charlotte really wanted it, they probably could have provided a better deal. But
yeah, I mean, the bid wasn't a good one to say the least, but I think Charlotte did really want it because that tournament brought over $650 million to the city.
Exactly, that's my point. If they really wanted it, but I just look. Look. If they would have gotten it, fine. I understand that's the reason why these cities bid on it, because of the economic impact that it has for their respective areas. We all know that. But there's just a part of me that just thinks that, okay, yeah, we're going to probably miss out on some tax money. We're going to probably miss out on some revenue, and this is not going to be, some of the local businesses are going to probably miss out on this. But I just don't think that they really cared one way or the other. And as Jared indicated, Baltimore showed that they wanted it, period.
And they got it. And they're going to keep it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So at least
I don't think it's going to move anywhere else. I think just based on the presentation, as representative of the city of Baltimore, Jared Hoffman did, I don't think it's going anywhere else for the foreseeable future.
Only thing they need to add is a Baltimore club party.
Like a day party?
Baltimore club.
A Baltimore club party.
A Baltimore.
You have to have the best of K Swift all up in there.
Y'all lucky.
Oh God!
Look. Okay, let me straighten this. Say this again for me. What is it, Kendrick? I mean, what is it, Jared? How you say it? How do you pronounce it?
It's Maryland and Baltimore. Baltimore is in Baltimore. Maryland is Baltimore. Don't claim Maryland. Baltimore is its own place.
Baltimore don't claim Maryland. Okay.
There are people that literally think Baltimore is a part of DMV, and it is not.
It's not.
It is not.
For everybody that don't know, look up WMATA. That is the Washington Metro Transit.
Okay.
Everything within that is the DMV.
And Mark is Baltimore.
And Mark is Baltimore.
I remember my girl Snoop from the Y used to call it BMO.
BMO. Oh, here you go, Jamie. And Gaither did that too. I saw his little stream talking about we running the back T Baltimore. Like, come on, guys. And for all of y'all I'm sorry to go on a rant. For all y'all out of towners that never been to Maryland, stop selling everybody to say T. That's just Baltimore. That's not everybody in Maryland. That's just Baltimore.
Yes, sir.
Jared sounds like my brother-in-law's wife, who asked me when I was in Jamaica to say Caribbean in English so she can laugh at me because Americans don't say Caribbean right.
How is it supposed to be pronounced?
It's Caribbean, ain't it?
Yeah, Caribbean.
No, that's the wrong way to say it.
So Caribbean is the right way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've been saying Caribbean all my life.
I was thinking that Caribbean was right because you said
that's because y'all from that song, Caribbean Queen.
Now we're sharing the same dream. All right, let me stop.
We got Chris to sing on the show. That's a goal.
Again,
yeah.
All right. Miss Kathy gonna shut you down. You better
Again.
The singing police.
Don't piss Miss Kathy off. Chris, stop singing. God damn.
Hey, I've heard that my whole life.
Stop singing, Chris.
Oh, Chris, please. Oh. Anyway.
So the round table's back. That means we got to do an off topic. Uh-oh. Miss Kathy said she heard you, Chris.
Woo, Lord.
Oh, see.
I love Fridays.
Oh man. Hey, Miss Kathy.
So speaking of Friday, hey Miss Kathy, thanks for listening.
Yes,
don't give Jared a hard time now. He's doing the best he can. So it's Friday. We ain't got no job. We ain't got nothing to do. We're gonna do the off topic. The off topic today about goats. Goats. Who's your goat? Not talking about LeBron and Jordan conversation. We had that already.
No,
I'm sick of
we're
the
not doing
conversation.
that here.
No, we're not doing that.
No,
nope.
not doing that again. No, Kim Rashad. No, not doing it again. We doing just GOAT and like anything other than basketball. It could be music. It could be, I don't know, bus drivers, cab drivers, Uber drivers. People still ride cabs? I don't think so. Yeah, but anything outside of the usual sports topic.
Well, I mean, I brought this up because I was interested in because I think about this a lot. You know, being that I'm a sports writer and that I consume a lot of sports content, it's just interesting that we've reached this point in our society where everybody is desperate and thirsty to. Edwin said, "I think Edwin means llama."
Yeah, I think he's that a go to a llama.
Llama.
I'm about to say, what is a llama?
Or
I think
Hold on, I gotta look this up. Is it a real thing?
a llama.
I don't know what it is. My doggone self. But yeah,
llama. But anyway,
yeah. But yeah, I just found it interesting that there's this need to classify, GOAT, greatest of all time things when we're talking about, anything. And Ken brought up a great point in our pre-production when he said that Janet won the American Music Lifetime Achievement.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. She won the American Music Award, but go ahead.
Yeah. So Ken brought up a point about who was bigger at their peak, whether it was Janet or the lady that's on tour now with the horses and the cowboy hats and the chaps. And honestly, I think it's crazy to say this, but I think Janet Jackson is actually underrated when we talk about legendary musicians because she redefined what a female pop star looked like, performed like, sang like. I mean, everybody wants to give that title to Madonna. Okay, Madonna's cool, but Janet, you don't have Britney Spears without Janet. You don't have Beyonce without Janet. You don't have, J-Lo. I mean, maybe we don't need J-Lo, for being quite honest. I mean, that might be Janet's one flaw is that we have J-Lo because of Janet. But, Janet Jackson is probably, the only person I can think of better than her is her own brother, be quite honest with you. And I mean, that's why I brought up the GOAT conversation, because I'm like, why can't we just enjoy people for who they are and what they do? Now, granted, we can, because it takes people not having agendas and just not being general trolls to analyze things from a critical lens. Like, if we're talking about GOAT basketball players, I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has the strongest case of anybody. This dude won in high school. This dude won in college. They changed the rules because of Kareem. I mean, you couldn't dunk in college for most of the 60s and 70s because they were scared as hell of Kareem dunking. And all he did was say, okay, I'm just going to invent this thing called the sky hook and make myself even more dangerous. Mm-hmm. And I mean, so if we're talking about GOATs from a basketball perspective, just to, put that in, I mean, think about it. Kareem won NBA Finals MVP while Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan were president, 14 years apart. I mean, he's probably the last real center we have. I mean, I won't say that because Shaq would choke me out if I said that. But I think we just are too quick to quantify and make this a discussion instead of just enjoying people for what they do. Like, we can agree that Beyonce is the best living performer right now, but will she ever catch Mike? I doubt it.
Hold on.
Shouts out to G Boom because Miss Maureen Reby Jackson's birthday is today. I'm gonna go play Centipede by the time this show is over. So
I just want to add something to what Chris said. Not only do we have to feel the need to pit people against each other, we feel the need to discredit the person we are arguing against,
right,
to uplift somebody else. And that doesn't strengthen your argument. It doesn't. I need people to understand who argue in these GOAT debates, saying, oh, if this person played in this era, they would have dominated. That does not help your argument.
No, it doesn't.
I promise you it doesn't.
Well, I used it.
And it doesn't strengthen your argument. I hope that helps. It really doesn't, because you have to go with what the information given to you. Now, if you want to say, oh, this person played with this many all-stars, but this person played with this many, that's fine, because that's factual information. It's factual. But saying, oh, if they had help from this person, every team gets help from somebody. They don't win without getting help from other teammates. I'm sorry for all the people who say, oh, LeBron played with lesser teams, and he did. To be fair, he did. But those teammates delivered when it mattered most. That's why he had, if that was the case, if LeBron did it all by himself, he would have 200 points in one game. If that was the case. So I just feel like, and that's not my point. The point that the original point that I was trying to make is discrediting other great athletes or musicians. It doesn't uplift the person that you're arguing for. If anything, it hurts them by discrediting others, because you're making it seem like that person's achievements aren't significant.
Well, I hear you, but I will. So let me kind of give you guys what start this. Not that long ago, I don't know, something was happening. And I think this was kind of like doing when Beyonce was kind of getting blowback when she first came out with the country album, and folks were kind of in their feelings because Beyonce basically stated, I don't need your permission to sing or to make a country song. And so, and she goes and she starts doing it. So we just having this conversation, my wife and I, and we mentioned Janet Jackson. Now, my son, who is 24 years old, by the way, was like, Janet Jackson? Big deal about Janet Jackson. And naturally, my wife was like, and we looked at him like, Negro, you lost your mind? What's up with Janet Jackson? And I literally had to tell him. And I had to realize, I'm like, he's 24. He doesn't know. I'm like, dude.
Not an excuse.
No, I'm going to give him some grace. I said, dude, bro, man, he's a noob too. I said, noob, let me tell you something. Janet Jackson was Beyonce before Beyonce was Beyonce. Oh, really? And that's when I was like, so I said, I'm gonna give you a little grace, but damn it, don't you ever come here talking about what's the big deal about Janet Jackson? Because I'm here to tell you right now, if we're gonna talk about GOATs, now I'm not gonna sit up here and compare Beyonce to Janet Jackson. That's not what I'm about to sit up, because we're about to talk about GOATs. Now, some people may say that one of the greatest performances ever was back in, what was that? Was that 72 when Willis Reed was hurt and he came back into the Garden?
70. It was 70.
It was 70. And he came back in the Garden limping and just, brought the house down. I'm here to tell you that the greatest onstage performance in the history of onstage performances is the time when Janet brought that poor soul from the crowd and sat him on that bench, and Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Now, somebody gives that man, they give that man, look, he was so, y'all know the reaction. Oh, look, man, y'all gotta, I'm sure that there's some place on YouTube Velvet Rope Tour. That's exactly what it was. Thanks, Edwin.
Edwin knows ball. Mhm.
You know it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I'm just be honest with you. Y'all clowned old boy, but all I will say is this. Just before I kind of wish it was me.
So did every man at that time.
So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I ain't mad at him. And for all the brothers out there who saying, whatever, you would have been the same way. You would have been the same way. Because I remember, and so just to give you some details, because I watched this a lot, by the way. I'm about to give you some details about this performance. If you notice, when they're putting him in, now the brother was strapped. And I think it was maybe someone security.
Hey, Ken, I got the video. I'm about to play it right now. Hold on.
What you got?
Everybody.
Hold on.
Everybody, hold
on. No, you can't play it. I don't want to be a strike. Well, I'm hoping we don't get a strike. But
we don't get a strike.
Okay, cool. But hold on. Let me set
I got
this
the
up.
sound off.
Okay. But okay. Well, all right. I didn't know you were gonna play it. But if it's the angle of the one that we're talking about, you will notice that the guy who's putting him in, he is like clearly giving him instructions. Like, don't stick your tongue out. Don't try to kiss her. This is what I'm thinking he's saying. Don't call her. Don't try to cup her. Don't try to do anything. You just sit there and just take it. He's literally saying this to him. So for all of you out there saying, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. He couldn't do anything. It's Janet Jackson.
Oh, they would have jumped on him so quick.
You know, I'm just saying. Now, she can do you, but you can't do her. That's what I'm saying. So hopefully this won't be a strike. Maybe this is just a reaction. That we'll take a chance. But go ahead, Kendrick. If you got to go ahead and go play it. Play it, player. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Stop.
Okay.
Stop. Oh my God.
Okay.
Stop.
No, that's enough. That's enough.
Look at.
All right, that's it. That's it. Enough.
Right, yeah, that's all we need.
I was
That's
done
all
after
we
the
need.
first second.
Yeah.
Oh, look, man. Oh,
When you
okay.
ODB said keep going.
Stop.
He said, "Nah, keep going." Oh my goodness.
Oh boy.
I ain't mad at old boy. Okay. I ain't gonna clown him.
Why was he sweating like that though? So I want to know.
Wouldn't you?
I would be.
Shoot.
You know what, Kendrick? I think he was sweating because he was trying to keep cool.
Wasn't doing a very good job of it.
But you know, you got Janet Jackson's hands between my legs. Just come on, man.
Man, I started to sing Negro spirituals up there. Uh-oh.
Kendrick's so mesmerized. He had to Kendrick come back. Anyway.
There he is.
Oh man. Oh.
Dang. Edwin took it back to when she was doing Mae West impersonations on Good Times.
I know. She was sweet. She was just a sweet, innocent child back then.
And but real, I mean, I think what people forget about Janet coming back to music really quickly. Everybody thinks Control was her first album. It's not. She had an album self-titled out in 1982 that was produced by believe it or not, Renee Moore and Angela Winbush.
Howard, you don't stand another chance.
Now that was 2300 Dream Street. That was 1984.
Okay, that was the first one. Okay,
the first one was self-titled in 1982. That was produced by Renee Moore and Angela Winbush. Howard University's own Angela Winbush, by the way.
This is why you guys need to watch Chris Stevens' channel. You see, I just checked me in real time. I'm telling you now. He knows his stuff. You guys need to check out his music, his music channel, dude. I'm telling you, this guy knows. He's on it. But anyway, go ahead, man.
But yeah, Janet had a great song on that first album called Young Love. And I mean, it kind of flew under the radar. 2300 Dream Street didn't do very well. And that was when she fired Joe as her manager. Wow. So she took control. She took control of her career very early. And that's where the album title came from. She was 18 years old and said, Dad, we can't do this no more. So she went and hooked up with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, made the Control album, and the rest is history. So, I mean, and Janet took off like a rocket from there. Like I said, she redefined what a female pop star is supposed to be, how they perform, how they sing, how they tour, the kids call them eras now, but Janet was doing eras before anybody else because the Control album went from 86 to 88. Rhythm Nation went from 89 to 91. Janet went from 93 to up to about 95. And then the Velvet Rope thing. Like Janet maximized her albums. Not many artists maximize their albums anymore. If you notice, these artists, after 1 year, they're like, all right, let's put out another album. No, you got to let your album breathe. You got to put out singles. You got to put out remixes. Janet absolutely, Lionel. Jackie Wilson and James Brown are Michael Jackson's godfathers, pretty much. Especially James Brown. But yeah, Jackie Wilson was an excellent performer as well. He did Lonely Teardrops. If you guys are not familiar with, we know about that. Yeah, but back to Janet. But okay, back to Janet. I'm sorry. But yeah, Janet. If there's a GOAT conversation to be had, Janet absolutely has to be a part of it because you can't think about how women rappers, women pop stars, women artists conduct themselves today without looking at Janet. She was the blueprint from Control on forward. And she gave everybody a guideline to go off of, and people are eating off of her genius pretty much. So, I mean, I love Beyonce as much as the next person. I wasn't going to DC or Jersey for the Cowboy Carter tour, just wasn't in my coins. But, I did see Renaissance, but I tell you now, like I said, Janet, the only person that Janet could probably look up to, and she literally looked up to him her entire life, was Michael. Those are your two best right there, Janet and Michael and Janet. Period.
Anybody else want to come up with a GOAT? Since I gave you my all-time GOAT on stage performance, somebody's got something. Because otherwise, because just to give you guys some perspective, we kind of pitch around ideas what we're going to talk about as an off topic. Because we even contemplated, and we might do this down the future about, do you put sugar in grits?
Nobody does that.
Grits.
What?
Savory grits.
Oh my. Okay. Anyway,
I put sugar in mine.
I do cheese grits.
Oh my God.
Do y'all use milk?
Put sugar in
y'all
grits?
use milk as the base for your grits?
No, I use boiled water.
Yeah, water.
We're talking about grits, not cream of wheat. What are you talking about?
Grits. No, because other day my wife made grits for my son and she used milk. I was like, you put milk in it? She was like, yeah, that's what the directions say. I'm like, what?
That's for oatmeal.
No,
yeah, exactly.
That's what cream of
wheat. It literally was on the directions. Use water or milk.
When salt, pepper, and butter.
I had never heard of anybody putting milk in grits before until yesterday.
Nah, it's boiled water for me.
Boiled water, dog. Anyway, back to the GOAT.
Anybody else?
Sugar and grits ain't GOAT.
It is to me.
Oh, there was something else that we were supposed to. Didn't you guys mention something? What was the other thing that?
The HBCUs.
Yeah, the only person using milk.
Let's talk about this right here. Let's talk about this right here.
Oh man,
let's talk about this right here.
The only person using milk is RG3. Okay,
let's talk about that right here.
What happened now?
That's a real old one. Not old in terms of like years old, but it's been weeks. Clue me in. What was that?
Just like the back and forth between RG3 and Ryan Clark.
Oh, we're talking about Ryan Clark. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When RG3 when RG3 put out that video talk about some Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark because she reacted to the hard foul from Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
and he's talking about we've seen too much evidence that she hates her and all that stuff. That's the RG3 thing. But the thing about where Ryan Clark comes in is that he pointed out that when RG3 refers to his wife, he always refers to her by her skin color, by saying milk.
He
And
calls
then-
her milk.
Yeah, you scroll down his Twitter page and all the pictures he has of her. There's a picture of him and his wife at some award show with a red carpet thing, and in the caption is cookies and milk.
Oh, ooh.
So like,
okay.
he's always referring to her as milk. And Ryan Clark's point was, your wife is more than her skin color. And RG3 took that as an attack, because he also said that she was behind him while he was making that Angel Reese video, talking about she was over there praising and clapping and giving him a round of applause while they were attacking Angel Reese. And then Ryan Clark, of course, apologized for bringing up his wife, even though nobody thought he was wrong. But I'm pretty sure that was the network that made him do that, which I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was basically the gist.
I don't want to. I know this is supposed to be off topic, and I know it's kind of unscripted, and I don't want to keep people too long. But I really, since you guys brought this up to me, I'm literally just finding out about this before the show went on. I really want to talk about this thing that took place with HBCU Sports One.
Okay.
We got to talk.
We got to talk about this. Okay,
And
so
also,
I just found.
okay.
No, I'm saying I just found out about this, and I don't know if anyone who's watching knows about this, but I think it's important that we kind of explain what happened and the significance of it. So whoever wants to kind of like fill everyone in, go ahead and do so.
Okay.
Jared's been following.
Okay.
Okay. So before I get into it, I think it's important to make it clear: HBCU Sports One is not in any way affiliated with HBCU Sports. Want to make that clear off the top. So, unfortunately, during the SWAC baseball tournament, does anybody have the name of the young man that unfortunately was hurt during the SWAC baseball tournament? The young man from Florida A&M. If not, I can look it up myself. But anyway, so the young man was hurt during the SWAC baseball tournament, and the HBCU Sports One page, they put out a tweet that said that they were dropping an update on the Florida A&M situation, and they phrased it in a way that made it seem like it was some big scandal.
Yeah, the shortstop with Jalen Niles, who got hurt.
Say that again.
Name was Jalen Niles.
Okay, Jalen Niles. So, and they put in reference to his injury, HBCU Sports One, the page on Twitter, they put out a tweet saying, and I'm trying to look it up to get their exact wording from.
Take your time.
That
I want to
tweet.
hear it.
But they put out a tweet saying that they had some news in regards to Florida A&M, making it seem like it was a big scandal. And a lot of people called them on it, saying that they might have deleted it by now.
No, okay. They might have. So go ahead.
Should have.
So anyway, I'll just paraphrase what was said. So HBCU Sports One basically said that they posted the video of the young man thanking all the people who sent well wishes, all the fans that supported him, and the school and his teammates and all of that. And then in the tweet, he says, and I'm paraphrasing it, that notice who he didn't mention, alluding to Florida A&M's athletic director. And saying that, like, basically that they didn't put out a statement and updating on his condition or anything about his injury, or talking about that. And I think he said something about them not visiting the hospital. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure that they said anything about him not visiting them in the hospital. But I feel like that was something that was in the tweet also. But it was just
Okay. Here it is. I got it right here.
Okay.
It says, under Florida A&M AD Angela Suggs, watch under Florida A&M's AD Suggs watch. This should have never happened. Jalen Niles injured at SWAC baseball tournament, required surgery. No acknowledgement, updates, or mention from FAMU. Video don't lie. Listen to who wasn't mentioned. And it plays this. the comments from the kid after he got out of the hospital. And then people go back and forth with him. And then he says, this has nothing to do with medical information. This is about acknowledgement.
And it's important to note that the young man's father thanked Florida A&M and their AD for supporting him in the aftermath of his injury. So that's also important to note. And that he didn't mention any of that the young man's father actually thanked Florida A&M, the fans and the school and leadership and everything, and the Florida A&M's baseball coach and everything. So it was just an irresponsible reporting, and everyone called him on it. All the people in the HBCU Twitter space called him on the misinformation that he was spreading with that tweet, and he went on a blocking rampage, blocking everybody who said anything negative in regards to the situation, including HBCU's the HBCU AC Media Relations Director, who, by the way, approves your credentials. And she said that, like, blocking the person that approves your credentials is not very smart. And so he was just blocking everybody aimlessly who said, I got blocked. And all I said was that it seems like a bit of a reach, because it was a very much a reach. Like, why are you assuming that Florida A&M leadership didn't do anything to support this young man? First of all, it was a freak accident. The injury was a freak accident. Blaming the school for it and then accusing them of not supporting him properly is just not responsible. And I just don't understand why he felt the need to do that, and why you're blocking everybody for calling you on that. And they're absolutely right to do that. It was just irresponsible, and it showed a level of insensitivity, and it just seemed like it was a bunch of engagement farming, basically.
So does anyone know who this guy is or girl is or whoever?
No.
Does anyone know?
That's the crazy part.
Has anyone ever seen this person?
Whoever they are, they always
I don't Twitter or X as much as, well, not that I ever did, but I just don't spend a whole lot of time. I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media these days, period, because I'm so boggled with work now. But I will just simply say this, man. I'm not sitting up here trying to tell you SIDs and you media relations people how to do your job. But because someone is saying that you're blocking the person who's giving you press credentials. Why do y'all give this guy? Have y'all given this guy press credentials?
He seems to be like tweeting from events sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
He does seem like he's tweeting. He or she, they seem like they are. Their posts are a lot of times. I've seen them do live interviews, so they're getting credentials for these events.
Okay. We found him at HBCU Sports. I know his name is Rodney Hill, an A&M grad. Man, all I would just simply say is this. And I'm not necessarily talking to this individual who put this bogus reporting out here. But for you to block somebody because they called you out on something that is clearly incorrect, instead of blocking them, you should thank them. I tell you guys all the time, and I'm telling you again, and it has happened. When this organization reports something that is incorrect, if I say something that is incorrect or I report something that is incorrect, I tell you guys all the time to hold me accountable. I want you to hold HBCU Sports accountable. It's what you're supposed to do. Yes, Jared.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to look, I found the initial tweet he put out before that tweet that Kendrick read. He said, HBCU Premier Sports will be dropping disturbing news this evening out of Florida A&M athletics. Sometimes you can sweep things under the rug and some things need to be reported. So that's what I was saying about, like, he made it seem like it was this big news story, like this big scandal, and then it was that tweet, and everybody called him on it because you made it seem like it was something that was going to be important or earth shattering. And it was that, a bunch of misinformation. So I'm sorry, I just needed to provide context.
No, that's fine, because I got a call the other night from Reggie Flood, and I was in the middle of something. He called. He said, "Hey man, have you been checking out this stuff with this HBCU sports one?" I had no idea what he was talking about, and he said, "Man, we're gonna have to, we got to tell some of these." Basically, his point was there are a lot of people out here who, because they've got somewhat of a tremendous following, of either putting out memes or putting out so-called facts on HBCU sports, that some way, somehow, they think that they are, I guess, journalists to a certain degree. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, gotcha. And but I think people, and this is why me and I think Chris in particular, or basically all of us, all four of us, and those who have gone through the steps, tend to be just a tad bit, we tend to get a little bit irritated at times at some of these outlets, because let me say this, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Hello.
Now I know that's an unfair thing to say, but I imagine HBCU sports saying what he said. Imagine if had we done that. Now y'all say y'all was on his ass. I can only imagine what would have happened to us had we taken those steps. And I think that's due in large part because you expect more of us. You see faces behind the names. Unfortunately, with a lot of these other Twitter accounts and these Facebook accounts, you don't see faces. And you don't see names. And in large part, it's probably due to a couple of things. One, they don't want to be held accountable. And two, you guys hear me say this all the time, they probably have something that they don't want to lose. And that's a job. And the last thing you do, if you want to be considered or deemed credible, is you put something out there and someone tells you you are wrong, you're clearly wrong. All of the evidence, people are coming up from various entities, schools, and saying this is wrong, and you're going to block them. That's the last thing you do. If anything, you just simply say, you know what, we got it wrong. Hold me accountable, whatever the case may be. But this is not it. And that's the reason why folks like me, Chris Stevens in particular, but Jared, because we've gone to school for this, man, and we've been trained on the do's and don'ts, what you should and shouldn't do, how to do something so that you avoid something from blowback. Now, granted, mistakes are happening. I'm not saying that we are perfect. We are not. But that's the reason why, man. J schools exist for a reason. J schools exist for a reason. I'm not saying that you can't be a credible journalist if you didn't go to one. There are countless examples of individuals who've blossomed. Bryant Gumbel, I think from what I'm saying, I think majored in Russian history.
Yep.
Nobody questions his credibility as a journalist. So I'm not saying that you have to go to those steps, but just do know that if you want to at least seem credible, at least research what you should do. The internet is your friend. And there are tips all the time. There are journalism groups all the time that literally provide, tips and pointers of what to do, what not to do, how to react in a particular situation or whatever the case may be. That's the reason why we say this. And that's the reason why I personally say there are some people in a number of people. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. There have been people in this space who don't need to be in this space. Just because you have a platform doesn't mean that you need to comment on HBCU sports. That doesn't mean that you can't be a service, but at least know your role. If you want to provide comic relief, you can do that. If you want to be an insider to a certain degree, you can do that. But if you want to call yourself trying to be credible and report on factual information, there is a skill to that, and everyone can't do it. So that's all I'm going to say. But when I first heard it, and Jared is telling me, and they're literally blocking people left and right, and I'm looking into the comments, and I tell people, and people are saying, yeah, he blocked me too. I'm like, man, come on, man. Don't block them. Thank them. Because I've taken some lumps. Believe me, I know. I've taken some lumps. Deservingly. I don't get mad at it either. I really don't. Because it tells me, when you take the time to tell me, it tells me you give a damn. And I appreciate it. So sorry for the rant. Kendrick had to leave. Alex said, I'm king, mommy's gone, and I'ma show daddy how to do it. Shut up. Kendrick had to go. So with that said, Chris Stevens, take us out, man.
All I'm gonna say is real quick before I sign off. Do you know how wrong you have to be for the entirety of HBCU sports Twitter to be on your behind? We don't agree on nothing.
Was it that bad? Seriously,
it was that bad.
Really? I hate I missed it.
We can't agree on the Celebration Bowl. We can't agree on the NCAA tournament. But what we can agree on is that if you add a turn, we gonna let you know you add a turn. How bad do you have to be for FAMU and Jackson State to be going all tag team on you?
That's my thing. I thought it was just going to be Florida A&M on his heels. It was the entire HBCU community
really
on his heels. And by the way, Steven said all he had to do was apologize. He does not think he's wrong.
No.
If he thought he was wrong, he wouldn't be blocking us.
Yeah. He caught it from Prairie View, Texas to Orangeburg, South Carolina. And that's what it should be. And we appreciate y'all for, keeping the space safe and honest. And we appreciate y'all for watching this edition of HBCU Sports Roundtable. You can follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Search for us at HBCU Sports. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Become a level 1, a level 2 member. Hit us with a super like for $4.99 a month. You can get all the HBCU sports that is fit to broadcast, as we like to give it to you. Don't forget to donate to us if you can. Use the Zelle app. Donate at hbcusports.com so you can kick us some coins that way, or you can go directly to the website at hbcusports.com/donate. Donate that way. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. You will get everything that we are working on. That's stories, that's broadcasts. Join the forums, as G Boom said, and you never know. Ken Rashad might give you a t-shirt, and we're working on coffee mugs. I've been banging the drum for coffee mugs. I can't wait to, when we're
gonna get the coffee mugs.
I can't wait till we do a show this fall, and I sip through my HBCU Sports coffee mug. We're gonna have a time with that. So thank y'all for watching. We greatly appreciate y'all as always. Until the next time we speak, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We go.
HBCU Sports Award coming up July 26th. HBCU Sports Awards, the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, July 26th. We'll see you.